overcoming. Oh, good. Thank you, Christina, or whoever did this. Continue. I got to put that in. Okay. So, this interactive and engaging program, you'll learn more about identifying your purpose for your book, overcoming the obstacles, formulating a game plan, building momentum, marketing once the draft is written. Oh my goodness, you're going to walk away with an action plan for getting it done. The learning objectives are to identify your book's strategic plan and its purpose, obstacles, and target market. Learn how to write quickly and effectively, even if you don't like to write, and create an action plan for your writing project. On your mark, writing as though leadership is a thought leadership strategy. I love this. Please welcome CSP Cathy Fyock to the program. Welcome, Cathy.
Welcome, everybody. I'm so glad to be here and excited to talk with you today about writing your book. I am here to help you realize that it is possible, it is probable that you can write a book. You have everything you need right now to write a book. And that is what we will discover as we talk together in this hour presentation. I want to encourage you as we get started to jump in, ask questions, be involved. This will be not so much a presentation as an interaction. So I encourage you to ask those questions and get involved. As we're getting started, though, one of the ways that I start every presentation now is to share my writer's pledge. This was something I developed several years ago. And actually, one of my clients had developed this pledge, a similar pledge for her and her grandson to say together. And I thought it was such a great idea about the power of setting a positive intention. So I've started using my own pledge with my clients. And everyone says that they love saying this at the beginning of every coaching session. So we will say it together. And here's what I'd like for you to do, though. Everyone mute themselves so we won't be stepping on each other's toes. And we will say this together. And I have the slide here so that we can say it together. So here we go. I pledge that I will use my power to make today a fantastic day. I will block writing time on my calendar, and I will honor that time commitment and hold it as sacred creative time. I pledge that I will not allow my negative voice to guide my thinking or stop my creative process. I will surround myself with people who love me and support my writing. I pledge to tell my story, to share my experiences with authenticity and without apology. I know that in telling my story, I can provide others with the gifts of hope, wisdom, and joy. I pledge that I will continue to work so that I gain clarity and focus for my readers, audiences, and clients. Then I can continue to make the world a better place, one word at a time. So that is our writer's pledge. I hope that that gets you energized and excited about what we're going to be talking about together. As we're going to get started, we're going to talk about what could writing blogs or books or articles or white papers or any written content do for your business. And we're really talking about a speaking business. I know Yvette was just saying, well, why should we write a book? That's not on my to-do list right now. So let's talk just a moment about why writing blogs, books, other content pieces might be part of your business development plan. So I think, Debbie, I heard you say that that there was definite benefits that you realized in writing a book. And I'd love to hear some of you who have already written either books or blogs or articles. What are some of the benefits that you've already been able to realize? Debbie, you want to get us started?
Sure. My book was written 20 years ago. Hello, I'm so old, but it's called Find Something Nice to Say, The Power of Compliments. I'm going to just tell you that's a timeless topic about compliments. And from that book, I have got more interviews all over the world, like over 300, maybe even more than that in the 20 years. And I've had articles written and I've been mentioned on TV, and I'm like, oh, it was just a simple book of find something nice to say. That was the power of compliments. So, and it still brings me business. So that's residual income as I've ever heard of it. So there you go. That's my story.
I love that, Debbie. Thank you for sharing that with everybody. Somebody else willing to share what a book or what writing has done for your career, what it has done for your business. Anybody? Not.
Can I share something?
Yes, Deepak, go in, jump in there.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I have written a book in 2019, and I think the one thing that happened to me was that I was able to one is able to generate some interest in people that what I'm going to do, and second is I remember when I met you in 2019 Influence, you talked about repurposing the content. And that book helped me to start my YouTube channel where I repurpose all the stories of the book into videos.
Okay, so I think what I heard him say is that he has been able to use content that he's developed for one purpose and used it for another purpose, and that by publishing that content in different forms and places, you're able to get double duty, triple duty, quadruple duty out of the hard work that you've put into writing. So thank you for sharing that, Deepak. You were breaking up quite a bit, so I hope I paraphrased appropriately there for you. Good. There's so many benefits of writing a book, or just writing for that matter. Let me share with you one story that was told to me by a potential client. She came to me and she said, Cathy, I have to write a book. I'm a speaker. She said, I just lost a $10,000 speaking engagement because I didn't have a book. She said, I was being considered. I was one of 3 or 4 speakers that was considered for a big keynote. And at this particular conference, one of the criteria, they wanted their keynote speaker to be the author of a book related to the topic of which they were speaking. So if that isn't sort of evidence enough to have you convinced, there's so many other benefits. It raises your credibility. It raises your visibility. I know my own story. I was a human resources consultant and speaker for many years, for 20 plus years. And then I decided I was going to become a book coach. So what did I do to position myself as a book coach? Basically, I wrote a book about how to write a book. That was really the totality of my repositioning strategy. But by doing just that alone, I was able to move from being a human resources consultant, speaker, trainer, into this whole different area of becoming a book coach. And that is what I do now full-time, and I have been doing it full-time since 2014. But that is my only credential. So I tell my authors all the time that books are magical. They have magical powers. I can't even explain why, but I think it's because partly we all really revere those who have written a book. We know that it's a big, arduous task. And so we value the fact that someone has put all that thought and energy and that time into creating their take on a subject and their area of expertise. So I encourage you that even if you haven't, Yvette, thought about writing a book before now, it's a wonderful way to position yourself, especially as you're moving into being a professional speaker. I also find it's a great way to get your foot in the door for media interviews, for radio, podcasts. Being the author of a book is a ticket to where you want to go. So if you are interested in promoting your business, there's really no better way than to write a book. Any comments or discussion about that before we leave that topic?
I'm a notary and a loan signing agent. That's my side gig besides what I'm doing full time. I still don't see how me writing a book about.
Well, what is your speaking topic?
In what aspect?
Well, I mean, if you are moving into becoming a professional speaker, what is your topic about that you're speaking about?
There's not one. There's not one.
Okay, there's not one. Well, I would suggest that one of the ways you can get booked more easily to speak is by being known as the person who has a message on X, on some subject, on some topic, on some focus area, and that will get you booked to speak. And so writing about that topic. And so actually we're going to be talking about moving into positioning and creating a thesis statement for your talk and for your book or your writing project, whatever that might be. I recently spoke for the Central Florida National Speakers Association chapter, their academy. And it was interesting because I had them go through this exercise of identifying what it is that they do, their positioning statement, who they do it for. And we had some people have huge breakthroughs that they said, now I understand what I need to do as a professional speaker. If I want to get more speaking engagements, I need to be known for something. Maybe it's about dealing with adversity. Maybe it's about following your faith. Maybe it's about how to write. Maybe it's about creativity or communication, or you fill in the blank. But by being known as a speaker on something, that will help move your speaking career forward. And that's what I'm suggesting, is that you figure out what it is that is your passion, that is your joy, that is your genius, your zone of genius, and focus on that and make that the topic of your speech as well as your book. So let's go into this a little bit deeper. And what we're going to be talking about next is this notion of your positioning statement. My most recent, or one of my recent books, The Speaker Author, I co-wrote with Lois Kramer. Lois is a sales coach for speakers. Some of you may know Lois. She's awesome, but she taught me about positioning statements. And I would like to do this quick exercise because it will help you focus as a speaker as well as a writer. So let me go back to sharing my screen. And what I'd like for us to do is think about a positioning statement, which is a statement that describes who you are, who you serve, and what problem you solve. And if you can get really clear on that, you will help other people know how they can use you, book you, use your business and services, use your speaking to help them with their businesses, with their careers, with their growth. Basically, a positioning statement is, hi, I'm Cathy Fyock, and I work with what group? So who do you work with? To help them do what? Solve what problem? So in other words, my positioning statement is, hi, I'm Cathy Fyock. I might say that I'm a business book strategist, and I work with professionals and thought leaders, that's who want to write a book as a business growth strategy. So let me say that again. My name's Cathy Fyock. I might throw in that I'm the business book strategist. I work with professionals and thought leaders who want to write a book as a business growth strategy. Now, that's very different than people who want to write a book because they want to write a novel or they want to write a children's book or something else. It's a book that helps them grow their business. Now, it may not be a business book, but it is a book that will grow their business. So, for example, it could be someone who's writing a cookbook if they are a culinary expert or a chef or something like that. So you get the idea. So what I want you to do right now is write your positioning statement. Hi, my name is, you fill in the blank. I work with, who do you work with? So that they can, and then the problem that you solve. What do you help them do? Now, some of you have been doing positioning statements forever, and you have one down, I'm sure, but let me stop the share so I can see your faces. And what I'd like to do is have a couple of you who might be willing to share your positioning statement with the rest of the group. Okay, Deepak said it, done it in the chat. I work with organizations and executives to harness the power of storytelling. Oops, it just went away. To convert their pitch into profits. Deepak, fabulous. Thank you. That was perfect. Excellent. I thought you would come through with an excellent one. Anybody else want to give it a shot or share it with a group? Because it's helpful. The more you say this out loud, the more it just becomes part of you and it just rolls off the tongue, which is what you want it to do. Who's willing to share? I'm looking for a hand. I'm looking for someone to unmute. Okay, Julie. Yay, Julie.
I put it in the chat, but I work with people with undiagnosed chronic illness to reclaim their life by shifting their mindset.
Beautiful, Julie. Excellent. Now, how long have you had a positioning statement?
For a few months, because I attended Lois's sessions a few times. So
Perfect. Okay, good. I love it that you're modeling what she taught because she is the master of the positioning statement. Anybody else want to give it a shot with your peers? Because there is something about saying it out loud in front of others that does help to cement it into place in our minds. Anybody? Well, you get the idea. The more you say this, the more you share it, the more ingrained it will be. It will be just part of the fabric of your conversation. You won't have to think about it. But at first, what you might want to do is write it on a piece of paper. You might want to put it on a 3x5 index card, put it at your desk, carry it around with you at networking events, and use it. Use your positioning statement as you're introducing yourself to others. And this will help you as a speaker and as an author because it gives clarity to what it is that you do, who it is that you serve, and what it is you help them do. So let's move to the next aspect of this discussion of getting very strategic about our book and our topic. And we're now going to talk about what is your book about. So when I work with my clients, I have them wear a magic button, and I do call it a magic button. And it says, as this does here, ask me about my book. And what it causes you to do, if you're wearing this button and someone asks you that question, you have to speak your thesis statement about your book, about your topic, about your message. So what I'd like for you to do right now is to just jot with your pen a couple of notes about what is your topic about. If you don't have a book yet, that's okay. But think about this as your future or potential book, or maybe your next book, if you've already written a book. What is your book about? It may be related to a first book that you've done, but it doesn't have to be. What is your book about? So let me now stop the share And I would love for some folks to be willing to share, what is your book about? Yes, Robin?
I'd love to share because it brings up a good question for me. I'm a hypnotist, and I work with sales teams so that they can use and align the power of their subconscious beliefs to fully use the conscious drive for success.
Love it.
The book is really about how your subconscious mind works and how to use it. I think that book's been written. So help, Cathy. That book's been written. How does it look different from Robin?
Okay, Robin, here's something I want you all to hear along with Robin. That is, some of you may be saying, but somebody's already written my book. My book is leadership. My book is about how to write a book. There are lots of other books about that topic. But what it does by writing the book, even if it's been written by someone else, it has to be from me. It can't be a book report that is just a mishmash of what other people think about it. It has to be from me. So it's unique in that it is my voice, it is my experience, it is what I have learned and put together and formulated as my formula for success. So in that sense, it's different than anyone else's. I also say to folks, you know, there's lots of books on leadership. I mean, how many thousands, if not, you know, hundreds of thousands of books are there on leadership? But do we need another book on leadership? Well, I would suggest to you that we have not solved the world's problems regarding leadership. So until that day happens, yes, we need another book on leadership. We need your voice, Robin. We need your perspective. So it doesn't have to be completely unique. It doesn't have to be completely different, but it does have to be completely you, if that makes sense. It doesn't have to be, wow, that has never been thought before, that's never been said before, but it does have to be sort of what you have put together and how you have seen this and how you apply it. And that has to be in a slightly different way than other people have said it. Is that helpful?
Yes. And
fabulous. Good.
good message.
Good. Okay, so Tammy says, ask me about my book on team building. Tell me more, Tammy.
Hi, Cathy. Welcome to POPs.
Thank you.
And I'll actually be making a speech on this at our next meeting this month.
Good.
I think that I have a little bit of a unique perspective on team building because I'm no longer a boss. I'm a member of a team, and I hate being a member of a team, but that's just how work is these days. And now that I'm on the other side of management, I think I have a unique perspective. And one of the most unique things that I teach or speak about on team building is that we want the diversity of individuals to fill different roles. We don't want everyone to be the same.
Right.
And the reason that I came to understand this is I was sharing with a supervisor, a higher level supervisor than myself. We were talking about a situation, and she said, the thing that you bring to this team is that the client's boss likes you. And I said, well, that's good, and that's fine. And I said, and she says, I see my role as the cheerleader. And I went, no, honey, you're getting paid head coach money. You're not the cheerleader. You need to be doing head coach. And so it showed me that leaders don't always see that the joy and diversity of bringing different types of people and appreciating who they are and the roles they can fulfill instead of trying to put people in roles.
Tammy, you are exactly right. You have a unique perspective. So many team building books are from the leader's perspective, not someone who is in the trenches and who really has both perspectives to share. So good for you. I love your idea. I think that it really has legs. Absolutely. So let's see, who was it that says, let's see, Deepak said, my first book name was Move Mountains One Story at a Time. I'm working now on Your Story, Your Glory. Oh, that sounds wonderful.
I have
Any,
a question, Cathy.
yes,
This
yes, is it
Akili.
Akili?
Yes, thank you so much. So I have the topic, which is autism, broad, but I bring a perspective of how do you bring businesses and individuals together for mutual understanding for the growth of their business. And it's really about a training aspect where you're thinking about the person and taking away any stereotypes that you believe that are there. I say all that to say, I have a habit of becoming preachy because I actually know it all. And with that comes this whole big thing where I want a book to embrace and encourage and inspire people rather than them believe that I'm giving them what I believe is on the market a lot for autism is this know-it-all, follow this path, do these steps and your life will be amazing. And I want to, it's like autism for dummies. I want to talk to people. I want my book to talk and not tell.
And not preach, yeah, and not shake their finger, yeah. I know one time I was giving some coaching advice to one of my clients who had written a piece and she asked for feedback. And I said, it sounds a little like you should do this and you shouldn't do this, and a very dictatorial in its approach. And so we talked about what she could do to get away from that. Sometimes just telling the story and showing the positive or negative consequence of that action that was taken will do that without you saying, see, I told you shouldn't do that. So that's what I like the most, is to merely share the story and let that carry the truth for you. And if you're finding that you're a little too preachy, see if you can back out of that and give more story that would support your point.
Okay, and I have one other question.
Yes, okay.
I do a live every Mondays at 7:00 about life along the spectrum, just what it means to be parents with children with differences or work with differences. I want to take those lives and I want that to be the book, to be a book that reaches parents and people, but it comes from telling stories. Can I do just telling stories? Like, they're all recorded now. So can I do these stories as a collaboration of conversation?
Here's the thing about your book. It can be anything you want it to be. That is reader-centric. Now that's the big hook. It can be anything. In fact, it's really, you are an artist here and you are painting your picture, and it can be any medium. It could be any subject. It could be any colors. It could be anything that you want, but it needs to serve your target market. And in fact, that's what we're going to talk about next. So let me move into that, because I think that's going to help you in focus on what is it that people want to hear? Because autism, you're right, is a huge subject, and you could write many, many, many different books. And there are already many books written on the subject. So how do you decide what slice of the topic you want to speak about and write about? Well, it depends on your targeted reader, your targeted market. So let's talk just a bit about that. I'm going to share my screen once again. It's important that we do think about our target and we have a target in mind for speaking, for the books that we write, for the work that we do. Because as much as we might like to think that my message is for everybody, really, it's not. Your message isn't for everybody. For example, in my writing, I thought, oh, well, I'm writing a book about writing. That's for anybody who wants to write a book. Well, not really. It's really, my books are for those people who want to write a book to help grow their business. And as I said in the very beginning, that's different than someone who wants to write a novel, or that's someone who wants to write a dissertation. Even though that's nonfiction, that's still not quite the same focus. So identifying your targeted reader, and it should be aligned for those of you who are wanting to develop a speaking practice, it should be aligned with your speaking audience. So what is that audience like? What are the demographics that define your targeted client? So write down a couple of words that might describe them. Are they men, are they women, are they professionals, non-professionals, young, old? How would you characterize them? Also, what changes are they experiencing? Are they without a job? Are they going through adversity of some part? Are they going through a challenge relative to their faith? What is it that they are experiencing? And what is their psychographic makeup? In other words, what are the things that they're thinking and feeling relative to your topic? The next exercise that we're going to do, and I'm going to give you it's going to be a speed writing exercise. Well, but first I want you to really get that ideal client, that ideal reader in mind. Who is that person? If you can think of one individual that would be representative of your ideal reader, your ideal client, write that person's name down. Because this next exercise, this will be really, really helpful for you. We're going to do a little speed writing exercise because I think it's really important that when we are talking about writing, we need to understand that if we're talking about writing, we're not writing. Only writing is writing. My friend Chris Clark Epstein said that, and I think that's great, great advice. So let's do a little bit of writing. We're going to do a 2-minute writing exercise, very, very short, which means you can't overthink this. So you have to write quickly, decisively, and here's what you're going to write. It is a letter from your reader to you. So I want you to imagine the person who needs your book. They haven't read your book yet, but they need your book. What are they saying to you right now? Maybe it's a younger version of yourself. Maybe the person that you are most wanting to reach is you 10 years ago, you 20 years ago. Someone who has not been through what you have been through. And I want you to write a letter from them, that person, to you. Like, dear Cathy, I need your book because I am stuck. I want to write a book. I need to write a book, but I don't know how to start. That might be some of what you might say. So once again, in this exercise, I'm going to put 2 minutes on the clock. You're going to write a letter from your reader to you. Are there any questions about the exercise? Any questions? 2 minutes on the clock and your time begins now. Go. Okay, your time is up. So hands off the keyboard, put your pens down. And what I'd love to do right now is to hear from some of you, either what you wrote, or if you'd like to share an insight that you got from this exercise, some aha, something that you hadn't realized before about your targeted reader, your targeted audience. Who might be willing to share something? Okay, Robin, I think your hand is up. Go for it. And then Julie, I saw your hand next.
Great. Well, I'll just read my letter. That's okay.
Yes, great.
Dear Robin, arr! I have followed all the advice, done the dream board, said the affirmations, dreamed big. I've gotten all excited and really felt charged up. Then I started to work. First, I didn't know where to start. Then I was rejected and lost a deal. Then I saw my competitors, and then there was a new competitor, and I'm so disheartened, I just want to give up. Help.
Wow. Wow. That is so good. That is so good. Now, what did you learn from that?
I'm talking to myself.
Yeah, okay, that's maybe one thing. But do you have a sense of urgency about the importance of this book? Do you have a sense of the frustration that's going on in the minds of the people who need to read your book?
I do, because one of the reasons that I'm passionate about this is because I've been told all the affirmations and the dream boards and everything, and it's like, this isn't working. What the heck? And when I have a client in my office, it's, let me tell you why that doesn't work. And I can explain it all. You know, I can tell you why that doesn't work. And so it's like, yeah, that's right. Ding, ding. That's right.
Very good. Very good. Thank you for your willingness to share with us. Julie, what did you come up with?
Dear Julie, I am so frustrated. I have been from doctor to doctor and I'm still not getting better. They say it's all in my head. My family doesn't believe that I'm sick either. They also think I'm making it up because I look fine, but I feel achy and tired all the time and don't know what to do. I've taken so many supplements that say they're going to help me. They help me a little, but they don't solve this unknown issue. Could it be something more? Could this be more than just physical? What can help me? I am at wit's end and I don't know what to do anymore.
Wow. Wow. That's a lot of words for 2 minutes. You know, that's the other thing that I think is always interesting about this exercise is, you know, you put 2 minutes on the clock, you say, oh, I don't have time to write. But it's amazing what you can write in 2 minutes when you know you only have 2 minutes to write. And that's very, very good. And do you feel sort of empowered to go forward with this book, Julie?
Yes, I'm interested in how we're going to go from first draft to, or from first word to first draft in 6 weeks, because it's finding the time to do it.
Very good. Very good. Akili, did I see your hand up as well?
Yes, but after Julie, I'm just a little bit intimidated because I thought more than I wrote. But I will start. It says, Dear Akili, the world always saw me coming, but never moved aside. And I always felt like I was crashing into a wall. When I picked up your book, I saw this guideline that provided some direction, some meaning that was in my life. I was thinking about all the things that make social so challenging for me. And now I know I can do it. My boss even delivered it to all of our team, and we're using it as a team building exercise. I am forever changed.
Love it. Love it. Are you feeling very empowered, very motivated to write this book?
It actually demonstrates the flaws that I have, and that is in writing. And so, yes, I wish that my thoughts in my head could come out on a piece of paper like I would like them. So I'm curious to see, like Julie, how this can happen, because that's never going to be a strength of mine, but the passion is. So I want to see how they can go together.
Really good. Well, let's just talk briefly about this right now. There is something powerful about limiting the time that you have to write. which sort of seems counterintuitive. It seems like, oh, let me take a whole day or a whole week and I can write this book or I can do whatever. I suggest not. I suggest that one of the big problems that we have as writers is we overthink it. We are trying to write perfect little gems of sentences, and instead of just letting it flow out of our heads. You have passion around this, but you're almost fighting against your passion when you're saying, I have to make this perfect. I have to make every sentence count. I have to make every word count. This isn't the exact right word, so let me stop. No, when you have 2 minutes on the clock, you just write. And that is what you need to do in little bursts of activity, a little bursts of writing. So you give yourself a little bit of time to write what you need to write, but you have to be very focused about what you're writing. Now, I didn't say just write anything about your topic. I was very, very specific about what you were writing. And that's part of the magic, is being extremely focused about what you're going to write about. Tammy, I see your hand up. Go for it.
I just want to make one quick point, Akili. Sometimes I think we get blocked up in our speaker's voice, thinking that it is not the writing voice, which are different grammatically, but it will come. It will come out of you, and you will not overanalyze the sentences. You'll just tell the story, and you'll be fine. But I think this is just my impression, that you think you speak all the time instead of write all the time. Once you start writing, you will sense the difference. And a good editor is never a bad thing.
Yes. Let me say this to all of you, and I want you to really hear me. Some of you may think, well, that's easy for her to say. She likes to write. She's a writer. She's written 10 books. I don't like to write. I do not like to write. I think it is hard work. But what I have found is you let it go, you throw it on the page, and then you get a really good editor. And that's the trick to good writing, especially until you get into this habit, Tammy, because you really are onto something there. The more you do this, it's like any muscle that you have in your body. The more you use it, the more powerful the muscle becomes. And it's so true with your writing. If you haven't been writing in a while, you feel rusty and kind of out of shape when you get back into it. But the more you do it, and the more you do it without editing, let me say this, creative writing should be completely separate from editing. Completely separate. In fact, usually what I tell my authors is you write the entire first draft, then you sit down and go through and edit and review. So those are two completely different brain functions. And if you're trying to combine them and do them both at the same time and you're feeling worn out, it's because you are physically wearing yourself out, switching back and forth between writing, creative writing, and editing. It's going back and forth between brain functions. And if you feel physically exhausted, it's because you are. So I want you to really hear that. I want you to really, really hear that. I want to do one more exercise, and then we'll kind of open it up for questions and see what thoughts you have. But this next point is kind of getting down to how do we take this from this, I know this subject matter, I love it, I'm passionate about it, I know who I'm writing for now, but how do I get it organized, and how do I get it into chunks that I can write in, say, 2 minutes at a time? That's what I'm going to be sharing next. Here's what I'd like for you to think about. Let me get to this next slide, which is identify the questions your target has about your thesis or what your book is about. So what are the questions that your targeted reader or your targeted audience member, and if you're already speaking and working with these folks, then you know what their questions are. But let's just put yourself in that space of what would I want to know? What if I didn't have the expertise that I had about this topic? What is it that I have found that's really important to know about? What I want you to do in this next exercise, again, just a short 2-minute exercise, you're going to write down the questions your targeted reader or targeted audience member has about your topic. I don't want you to write the answers to the questions. I just want you to write questions. Okay, everybody clear? Any questions about the exercise? Okay, I'm going to give you, once again, 2 minutes on the clock, and your time begins now. Go. Okay, your time is up. I'm going to stop the share and see what comments you might have. How many of you had at least 5 questions or more? Great. Who had the most questions? Oh, wow, 9 questions, Robin. 7. Keely, very good. 9. Okay, excellent, excellent, excellent. Okay, so let's talk about what we're going to do with this list of questions. And by the way, you can keep adding to this, and I would suggest that you keep on adding to the list of questions that you've developed. What can you do with this list of questions? Robin?
I think I know.
Okay.
I think they make perfect chapter titles.
Yes. They do. They do. They also provide you with excellent prompts. So what should I write about now? I have 10 minutes right now. Maybe you pick one of the questions that you outlined and you answer one small part of one question. Maybe that one answer becomes a blog post, the starting of an article, starting of a chapter, the heading of your book, part of your book. You see how this little exercise has now given us the springboard for never having to sit down to a blank screen. writer's block. What do I write about? You never should have to do that because you're always starting from a list of questions and then developing your list of questions. I know that when I'm on a coaching call with a client and the client asks me a great question, I'm like, oh, that's a great point. I'm going to add that to my next blog post, or that's going to be a next article, or that's going to be maybe a whole new book. So that is something I'm always listening for. What are those great questions that come from my clients, my audiences, and so on, because that can become great material to help me start and write without having to rack my brain or think, where should I begin? Something else that you might do is start by thinking about all the stories that you tell. And for those of you who are already speaking on your topic and you love those favorite stories, you know every audience wants to hear your story about fill in the blank. You know that that story also needs to go in your book, because if someone is in your audience and they buy your book, they expect to see the story in the book. That's part of the reason that they buy your book. So I want you to think about all the stories that you already tell, all the great information that you're already talking about. And what I have done with clients on this, if we had a full day of writing exercises or writing workshop or retreat, we might write each question on a separate Post-it. And we would organize the Post-its by chapter. And we might also write for each Post-it story topic or title, something that lets me know, oh yeah, the story about this, the story about that. And then I would start grouping those where they belong with the book, what story accompanies what key learning point. I might also add other statistics or quotes or other things that I want to talk about. And you see how that becomes something that's fleshed out by a series of Post-it notes. And what I love about Post-it notes is, of course, I mean, there's software that will help you do this too, but I like the tactile aspect of Post-it notes and the ability to move them around and visually see it all laid out in front of you. So I know that that's not the complete answer. So how do you take it from first word to first draft in 6 weeks? But that is an inkling. You want to get so clear, first of all, on what it is that you do. What is your positioning statement? And what do you want your book to do for you? What do you want your writing to do for you? So get clear on your purpose. Get clear on who you are and what it is that you do. Get clear on the thesis for this bit of writing or your next presentation topic, your targeted audience or reader, and then what is it that they really want to know? Those are the strategic components of writing your book, and for that matter, writing your next speech, writing any content piece. And I love this series of exercises because it really does walk you through those things that you need to do. I'm a big believer that we as authors and as speakers, we change the world one word at a time. And it is by putting our message out there, by sharing our truth, by sharing our stories, that we are in fact making the world a better place. And I want to encourage you to write your stories, to tell your stories. So thank you so much. And I will open it up to questions now. Robin, should I turn the controls back over to you now?
That would be fine. Debbie's going to take it from here. She's going
Okay.
to our Q&A piece of this. But yes, that would be awesome. Thank you.
Okay, so Debbie, let me find
Well,
Debbie. And
Julie, did you have a question? You're up.
Thank you. How many minutes a day do you suggest writing to devote to your writing, especially if you have a full-time job?
here's what I suggest. Not that you write every day. I don't think that I've heard some Julie Cameron in the The Artist's Way, it talks about writing regularly. I think regularly is important, more important than every day. Some of my authors find that because of their busy schedules, they cannot write every day, but they can carve out an hour in the morning, an hour here, 30 minutes here, 20, that you carve it on your calendar. And what I've found with coaching clients who are working on the book, there is a certain amount of time that is needed to sort of have the momentum to carry you forward. And what I usually find is you need to devote at least 5 hours a week toward writing to get you in that momentum building phase. And obviously, the more you can do, if you can do 10 or 20, that's even better. But I don't think you need to do more than 10 or 20 hours of writing to get a book written in 6 weeks. I believe you get really focused on your strategic plan, and then you create a game plan for getting it done in the time that you have, and you can do this.
Thank you, Cathy. And do we have more questions? I mean, we have the master here. That
Debbie,
presentation was great, by the way. Yes, Tammy, take it away.
I just wanted to say that when Cathy started talking about taking your bits and pieces, that's how I wrote my master's thesis. I forgot I have written a book. It was a long time ago, but when I was doing my research, because it required a lot of research, it took me over right at a year to write. But as I did my research, the key points that stood out in the research and the literature, I would make a note card on that. And then when I came time to sort it all out and present what my thesis would be about, all of that reading and all of those little note cards created the outline.
Sort
And
of like
from
your
there-
Post-it notes, right? You could
The same
organize
thing as your
them and
Post-it.
move. Yes.
Exactly. Because as you're creating your own creation, you won't be depending on other people's research. This is out of you. But I just, that is a really good way to do it, is just to take these daily writings and then see what goes with what and what supports what you're trying to do. That might be a good way to help you get organized.
Let me also point out that one of my books is Blog to Book, repurposing content to discover the book you've already written. Basically, this book modeled Blog to Book because I had been blogging, I had been writing short pieces of writing for my blogs, and I was able to group them together, clean up some of them, add some content, and come up with a book. And I did this, I think it was about 2 weeks, because I had already written 80% of the content over the past, 3 years. So you may be able to do that. So think about, Julie, I know as you're thinking about blocking time, sometimes just writing a blog post a week can mean that at the end of 52 weeks, you have, because Blog to Book is 52 short blogs that you could then put into a cohesive framework of your book.
I have a question for you, Cathy. This is
Yes,
Cathy again.
Yes.
Okay. I know books can be all sizes. Oh, how many pages? Just to be a reputable piece of work. How an average number of pages so that someone doesn't go, who told her she could write a book? Because I did mine in 13 pages. I'm just curious.
Okay, that's a great question. And I get asked it all the time. How long should my book be? And of course, the answer is as long as it needs to be, but that's not very helpful. So let me give you a more helpful answer. I think a book, if you are wanting to speak on your topic, it needs to be substantive enough that it has a spine that has your book title and information on the spine. I don't even know if you can see that very clearly, but it's not overwhelming. It's not, in fact, this book is 151 pages. I think that's a great length, but really, as a writer, as an author, it's not about page numbers. It's about word count. Let me tell you, because it depends on the size of the font, it depends on the margins of your book, it depends on how many things you have at the beginning of, little images and so forth. It depends on pull quotes and activities and all of that. So what I'd usually tell my authors is not that there is a number, but if you had to pick a number, 30,000 words. Almost all my books are about 30,000 words because they're big enough to have a spine, but they're short enough that they don't seem overwhelming, but they're thick enough that they also seem credible enough. So that's my, it really is whatever it needs to be. But if I had to give you an answer, 30,000 words.
A nice reference point.
Yes.
So thank you so much for that. Now that puts some clarity. The other thing is when you were talking about note cards, I had my aha moment that said, oh yeah, people ask questions all the time. So all of this together is just making this wonderful moments of checking off the box. I'm just missing the 5 hours a week, but I'm going to talk to God about that later on today. See if he can add a couple of more so I can.
I bet it's possible. I bet it's possible.
Cathy, can you talk about if you are writing a book, being a collaborator? In other words, I've written many things where I have shared my information with someone else. So is there a method? Is there a way to do that without killing each other? Take it away.
Yes, lots of ways. My book with Lois Kramer is one. I've done actually quite a few of my books have been collaborations, and I love collaboration. You're not doing all the heavy lifting yourself. You're sharing it with someone else. You're getting validation. You're getting support. You're getting cheerleading, but it's not without potential issues. You need to be very, very clear on who's doing what, who's getting what, in terms of proceeds, royalties from the book, sales of the book, speaking engagements from the book. There's a lot to work out. And I've also learned that I've actually worked with quite a few co-authoring teams, and different co-authoring teams do it differently. One person does kind of the heavy lifting of the initial draft, and then the other one does the editing, and then it's back and forth until it's polished. Some sort of divide and conquer. They each write their own areas of expertise and then trade, flip. So that's another way to do it. Some authors, I don't recommend this, sit down and try and really do it literally together. It's almost too cumbersome and too onerous to do, but it's possible. So there's lots and lots of different ways that you might approach co-authoring, and I love it. The other thing that you might want to think about is participating in an anthology. Anthologies are where you write a chapter, and maybe there are 15 chapters about related topics, but yours is one of 15. It's a great way to start out as an author. It's something I've done a lot of, anthology chapters that help me build confidence and understand the publishing process, the editing process. So that's another thing that you might want to consider as well.
Thank you. Yeah, the anthology thing is, are you talking particularly about books that people call you and say, write a chapter with Jack Canfield, da, 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 da. I gotta say, what do I know? But so many that I have read, people are like, oh, I wrote a book with Jack Canfield. So I always buy their book. And I think to myself, I'm sure Jack Canfield's chapter was fine, but the rest of the people, they're just horrible writers. So do I want to be in a book with majority of it is junk? So I
Well-
tell people, write a small book, be it on your own.
Yeah, well, Debbie, I really tend to agree with you, but there are times when it's the right group, when it's the right team. Some of those are a little too gimmicky, and you're right. Some people are writing really substandard material. Some are even not writing it. They're just answering a few questions or being interviewed. I don't recommend that. So be very careful if you do look at an anthology. Be sure that you're doing something that is reputable, that will help your reputation and not hurt your reputation as an author.
I've been a member of NSA. Well, I'm not at this second, but for like 25 years, I always bought everybody's book. I just did. And I always say, I have some of the worst books ever written. And I think to myself, what the heck happened to these people? I mean, they're pretty good at speaking, but they just kind of record what they said. They don't edit it well. And your book, in my opinion, depends upon a good editor
Yes.
that can actually do what I call it marketing writing. In other words, make it so people actually want to read it. Because
Yes.
I don't think it does you a lot
Yes.
of good to have a poor book. Although I will also say that a lot of times if you're hired and because you have a book, that doesn't mean that person is going to read your book. It means just, oh, they have a book. So there you go.
Yes.
Any other questions?
Yes.
I have a
Yes,
question.
take it away.
Yes. Hi, Cathy. Sorry, I was on the road. Now I'm home. So you're
Good,
not able to
good.
help me.
Glad you're home safe.
Yeah. So my question is that as this particular chapter or Toastmasters Club is all about professional speaking, and the whole idea is to take professional speakers and help members to become professional speakers. And we invite speakers to this chapter every month, every other month, so that they learn the parts of professional speaking. Now, when we talk about writing a book and you discussed about expert positioning statement and subject relate picking up lane, a lot of people have a lot of ideas apart from the lane that they are talking about. But as we are on journey of professional speaking, do you suggest that we focus on the subject which is related to our lane at this point of time? This is one my question. And the second question is that how do we take advantage of that book when we start, or a lot of people are already into professional speaking, they're already talking to the client. What are the ways that we can take advantage of the book when we are talking to our client or delivering a session?
Oh, okay, great questions. The first question, well, the second was more about leveraging your book when you speak, but the first question was,
See, as a person at this point of time, when we are starting our journey, or some of them are already into the speaking, they should focus on writing on the lane that they are focusing on.
yes. So yeah, it's the more focused you can be in identifying your niche target market, your niche subject matter expertise, and the more you stay in that lane, the more you'll become known for that topic. So what I have found is, as a book coach, in my former life, I was a human resources consultant, and my books were about the aging workforce and about recruiting employees for your organization. I don't talk about any of that now, and nothing that I write, nothing is about that. Because now I am a book coach, and I'm a book coach full time, and that's what my writing is about. That's what my focus is about. So single focus gives the market a lot of clarity so that people know, oh, I'm writing a book. I'm looking for a book coach. I'm going to call Cathy Fyock. So being very clear about that. Now, the other question that you asked was about your speaking. So how do you leverage your book, and how do you use that in speaking? There's a whole, well, in fact, I've written a whole book about it with the book that I wrote with Lois, the speaker author, which is about leveraging your book to get more speaking engagements and using your speaking engagements to sell more books. So that's what this whole book is about. Just a couple of quick tips is, when you're speaking, use the same title of your presentation as your book title. You'll sell many more books that way. If you are trying to speak about something unrelated to your book, well, because it's not the same thing, people go, well, I don't know her with that topic. I don't know that there's a connection there. But if they've heard me speak on it, they love what I have said, they want to take some of that home with them, or they want to digest it a little bit more, they're going to buy that book on the same topic. So same topic as your same title as your book title. The other thing that I love to suggest is opening your book and reading some little pithy quote or comment. I didn't do that in this presentation, but I try to usually plan something where I'll open the book and read from it, because there's something incredibly powerful about saying, you know, that's a great question. Something that I talk about on page 35 is we have Lois's 10 questions for decision makers. And I might give you a couple of what those questions are, and then you go, oh my gosh, that's really good content. I want to take that home with me. So I suggest that you do that. The other huge tip is that you pre-sell books when you speak. So say you get a call for a speaking engagement. One of my clients, is just part of her intake form where she says, okay, so how many are in your group? And would you like to have a copy of my book for everyone in the audience? And there's a couple of ways that we can do that. So pre-selling your book to the meeting planner. So you're not just selling one book or two books in the back of the room. You're selling to 100 people before you even show up to the event. And then you're having those books pre-shipped, or maybe even signing the books and having them shipped or whatever. So those are just a couple of quick tips that I might suggest. There's also information in the book about things like if there's a bookstore at the conference where you're speaking, some tips about utilizing that, selling back of the room, pre-selling, all of those different topics are covered. But that gives you just a little flavor for some of the ideas.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, you're from Louisville, right?
Yes, I'm from Louisville, Kentucky, although right
Yep.
now I'm in Punta Gorda, Florida.
Oh, because do you know my friend Liz Curtis Higgs from
Yes.
Louisville?
Well, in
Louisville.
fact, we go to the same church. We sing in the same
well, there
church
you go.
choir. Yes, we taught Sunday schools together. Yes.
Well, have you been to one of her speeches and then the book signing in the back?
Yes.
I think this is brilliant, because what does she have? 35 books she's written or something like that. So at the end of the speech, she's like, I'd love to talk to you. Come on up to the book signing table. And you're in this line for like 20 minutes to get to her, but you're looking at all her books. And so even if you say, oh, I'm not going to buy anything, well, you got to have it. And then by the time you get up there, she'll autograph it. I just think it's a great marketing thing, because anyway, I'll do anything to say hi to Liz. So.
Well, exactly. And so, and so would your audiences. They want, if you've done a really great job in speaking to them, they want to take a little bit of you home with them. Now, somebody said that's pretty creepy, but I don't know, it's kind of cool.
That's the speaking world. That's the speaking world.
It is,
And
yes.
they want to take piece. So they'll line up in the back, and if you have all your products for, by the time you get to Liz, really, because she's got so many fabulous stuff. Anyway, but you're spending $100 just to get to her. But
absolutely.
Okay, one quick question: do you suggest more people being self-published as opposed to going out to get a publisher?
That is a great question. So self-publishing, using traditional publisher, or now there's something sort of in the middle, hybrid publishers. And frankly, almost all of my authors, in fact, I have a big stack of my books. These are just this year's books from my authors. So I'm so proud of my authors, almost 20 books now so far in 2021. And all of them except for one are basically self-published or hybrid published. One of the authors, they're from academia, they wanted to use an academic publisher, and so that's what they've done. But I think the best deal for speakers is generally self-publishing or hybrid publishing. Because, and I'll just give you a quick overview, you control your copyright, you retain your rights, you have all creative control, you can bring it to market quicker, and you reap more of the benefits once you sell books, especially if you negotiate the right deal with the right hybrid publisher. And for my authors, I suggest that they work a deal so that they get 100% of, after Amazon will take its cut, but then you get 100% of the book sales. And if you're buying books, you can buy them at cost, which means if I buy my book at $3 and I sell it for $20, I'm pocketing the balance, which is a nice little margin there. And so I suggest that that is the way to go. The other thing to today's market, publishers, traditional publishers, extremely difficult to work with a traditional publisher. You have to be established and have a platform, and they're looking usually for tens of thousands of followers in your platform. So for most of us mere mortals, that's not possible. So it really makes a lot more sense to go the way of self-publishing. I would love to share my screen to give my contact information for folks, if I can do that, if I might do that.
Wow, I was going to say that, Kathy, we want your website. So
Yes, I want you to get there.
Cathy, you also talked about some writing retreats. Is there some coming up in the future?
I have writing retreats and workshops all the time. If you are interested in being on my mailing list, I have lots of free programs. I have lots of low cost programs. And then I have the full service coaching, one-on-one VIP weekend, you know, the very high end things as well, but something for every price point. So let me share my screen and let me give you my contact information. You can reach me. It's pretty simple. Cathy at cathyfyock.com. If you'd like to reach out to me, send me an email and I will put you on my mailing list, which you can unsubscribe at any time. You can also sign up for a complimentary strategy session where we talk about your next writing project. I guarantee that I'll give you clarity on your book and what needs to come next, insights, how we might work together, if that makes sense. And so I encourage you to reach out to me. I also have some free goodies. I have a worksheet of writing prompts and some other tools that I will be glad to include, including my writer's pledge, which a lot of people really find that to be of value. So just shoot me an email, Cathy at cathyfyock.com. And I would love to add you to my list and send you free goodies and let the conversation begin.
Thank you. Thank you so much. This is really valuable. So any more questions?
You're on mute, Debbie.
Debbie, you're on mute. Sorry.
Okay, sorry. Thank you, Cathy. You've been delightful. I've learned a lot and I've just enjoy your presentation. So now as Toastmaster, it is my turn to turn it over to our presiding officer, our own president, Robin Roberts. Take it away.
Thank you, Debbie, but I'm actually going to say, Deepa, did you have something to share?
Yeah, can you enable my screen, please, as a host?
Yes. Hey, hold on. Did I get it back? Let's see. Cathy, can you give me host back, please? Oh, I think I can reclaim it. Hold on. No. If you could just give me host back, I'm sorry. We just have a little setup with our new account with Zoom. So that's why there's these little hiccups today. Oh, here it is. I can do it. I can reclaim it. I took it. I'm sorry. All right. In which case now I will turn around and give it to Deepak, but give it back to me at the end, my friend. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you, Cathy, so much for coming to this program. I know it was last time we had Lois, now we have you. We know how much knowledge we have gained from both of you. And I have seen you both on the stage at Influence, and I know how together, but we were so glad that we were able to bring it for members. Just a small token for thank you from our members. We will just, this is a small note from all our members. We will share it with you on email. Thank you so much, Cathy, for coming to this program. Pathway of Professional Speaker, really value everything that all the professional speakers does for us. Again, we will be in touch with you definitely, and we will definitely set up, I think members, I would encourage everyone to set up that complimentary session that Cathy is offering. And from there onwards, we can see how we can take coaching or some more learning from her, from her tools and her website. Over to Robin.
Thank you very much. And again, Cathy, thank you so much. And I just have to say, I just love your branding. I love your branding, and it is so you, and that is just the perfect branding. I love the black and red, and thank you for sharing so much of yourself with us on a Sunday afternoon. We really appreciate it.
Well, it's been my pleasure.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. You are welcome to stay. We do have a guest here, and that's Julie. And so Julie, if you would like to share how you found us and how you thought the meeting was, okay, bye, Cathy. Then please tell us.
Sure. My name is Julie Cooley. I am a Toastmaster of 9 years. I'm looking for an advanced club that focuses on professional speaking. So I'm scouting out a whole bunch of professional speaking clubs and seeing which one resonates. And I checked your website and saw Cathy was coming, and the topic interested me. So I wanted to make sure I attended. I do encourage you to share more on the other Toastmaster groups, though, so that it's not such a well-kept secret for Toastmasters, so that, you know, more people can attend. But I love the topic. So thank you so much.
Great. Where are you, Julie?
I'm in Castle Rock, Colorado.
Oh, Castle. I used to live in Parker. Say hi to Colorado for me. That's wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming. And Debbie is our VP of membership. So if you would put your contact information in the chat, she can follow up with you after the meeting. That would be terrific.
I already gave it to her.
Oh, awesome. Cool. Well, okay, she's on top of things. All right. With that, our next meeting is 2 weeks from today on the 21st. Please sign up and come speak to us. We're here to hear you. We're here to know who you are. There's a few of you who are new and some who are new who aren't here, but I'll still preach to them over the psychic network that we want to get those speeches. Come tell us who you are. Come tell us what you are doing in POPs and how you want POPs to help you so that we can know more about you and how to create this awesome group into an even awesomer group. Don't check my grammar. Does anybody have any comments or announcements that they care to share? Yes, Christine. And thank you, Christine. Had the old Zoom, so I'm glad you got the new one. Thank you.
And I just wanted to comment on that. There was a flyer put out for this event that had the old.
Right, and then a new flyer replaced it, and
well, I got it today. Rashid sent it to me today with that information. So, and I shared it. So well, I feel bad.
I was on there, and in case anybody else came. Okay. Sorry, I was trying to do like 3 things at the same time. And I couldn't, I hadn't put the audio on. So anyway, it was.
That's what I just want to say. Oh, so it did go out differently because I was thinking how many people couldn't get in, but you were monitoring. So yeah, no issue. Thank you. I'm glad I finally got here. I apologize for being late.
No, but I'd love to hear more from you. Hint, hint, hint.
Hint, hint, hint.
I think I have a way to get her, Robin.
Ooh, tell me.
I'm very encouraged by the idea of writing a book and want to complete it in the 6 weeks. I am taking a break from school just because we get a month in December. I don't know what everybody's schedule looks like, but if we wanted to put together a calendar of accountability where maybe we got on a 15-minute call once a week and said, what have we accomplished? A chapter, a paragraph, a thought that we might be able to work together to hold each other accountable and go through the process so we feel encouraged by each other when we're struggling. So just a thought. I don't have a lot of time on my hands, but I know I've got this 1 month window coming up and thought about vacationing, and maybe this is my vacation, only a vacation in my head. If you guys are interested, let's see how we can put this together and support one another while we try and figure something out. Just a thought.
Sounds very interesting.
Great
Very.
idea.
So how do you want to, do we want to send you a note if we want to do this?
Well, I guess everybody knows my information. If you don't, let me put my information in the chat, and I will develop a calendar and give everybody a sample calendar of what it could look like. And we can kind of go from there. And there's no hard, fast stone if you don't make it, but it can give you that.
Just that little bit.
That starter package. I know I'm always looking for encouragement, cheerleaders. You guys reach out to me and hopefully we could get something done in the month of December, January-ish.
Very promising. All right, this is what I like. People who are initiative, and let's go. Anything else?
Oh, Julie, you're welcome to come to the little side group. So get my information if you want to just pop in there.
All right, I'm gonna